A dark tale that took place in the little Missouri town of St. Martin's stunned the locals to their core. Alyssa Bustamante, a teenager with a turbulent past, became the center of a chilling case that revealed the darkest corners of the human psyche. This narrative explores the life of Alyssa, the fateful intersection of two young lives, and the harrowing consequences of a secret too dark to imagine. Alyssa Bustamante's life began in January 1994, under the care of teenage parents grappling with their own demons. Her mother, just 15 at the time of Alyssa's birth, struggled with substance abuse and legal troubles. Alyssa's father also battled addiction and faced legal issues. This unstable environment set the stage for Alyssa's troubled childhood, marked by frequent relocations between California and Missouri. Alyssa's early years were a harbinger of the challenges that lay ahead. From a young age, her behavior reflected the instability and turmoil of her upbringing. Born to teenage parents struggling with their own issues, Alyssa's environment was far from the nurturing and stable one that is crucial during the formative years of a child's life. This lack of stability likely played a significant role in the early development of her behavioral issues. When Alyssa was taken in by her grandparents at 8, it was a pivotal moment. Her grandparents, recognizing the need for a more stable and supportive environment, made the decision to move the family to St. Martin's, a small and seemingly idyllic town. This move was made with the hope of providing Alyssa and her siblings a fresh start in a community that was tight-knit and supportive. However, the transition to St. Martin's did not have the therapeutic effect her grandparents had hoped for. Instead of finding solace and stability, Alyssa's internal struggles continued to intensify. This suggests that the issues Alyssa faced were deeply rooted and perhaps compounded by her early experiences. The move to a new town, while well-intentioned, was not enough to mitigate the psychological distress that had already begun to take root in her young mind. Attending Jefferson City High School, Alyssa's edgy appearance and behavior stood in stark contrast to her peers. On the surface, she might have appeared as just another teenager with a unique style: side-swept bangs, heavy eye makeup, and black-painted nails. This, however, masked a deeper distress. Her inclination towards an edgy persona could have been both a form of self-expression and a shield to hide her vulnerabilities. Alyssa's descent into deeper psychological distress paints a somber picture of a young life engulfed by inner demons. The intensification of her depression and self-harm was not merely a series of isolated incidents. They were harrowing signs of a mind battling severe emotional pain. Self-harm, often a coping mechanism for overwhelming emotional turmoil, was a stark indicator of the depth of Alyssa's suffering. The situation reached a critical juncture with Alyssa's suicide attempt. This alarming act was a distress signal, showing that her psychological state had deteriorated to a point of desperation. It was this incident that prompted her grandparents, who were already grappling with the challenges of raising their grandchildren under difficult circumstances, to seek psychiatric help for Alyssa. However, even with psychiatric intervention, Alyssa's journey did not turn towards recovery. This highlights the complex and often unpredictable nature of mental health treatment, especially in adolescence. It underscores the challenges faced by families and mental health professionals in addressing such deep-seated issues. The effectiveness of psychiatric help can vary greatly depending on numerous factors, including the patient's unique circumstances, the type of treatment, and the patient's response to it. The case of Alyssa Bustamante took a harrowing and unexpected turn with the sudden disappearance of Elizabeth Olton, her 9-year-old neighbor. Elizabeth's vanishing acted like a catalyst, uncovering a nightmarish reality that deeply shook the small, close-knit community of St. Martin's, Missouri. Elizabeth's disappearance was initially met with widespread concern and confusion. In a town where everyone knew each other, the sudden absence of a young child was both alarming and out of the ordinary. The community, previously serene and trusting, was plunged into a state of fear and uncertainty. Neighbors, friends, and local authorities rallied together in a desperate search, hoping to find Elizabeth safe and sound. As the search intensified, the grim reality of the situation began to unfold. The investigation led to unsettling discoveries that pointed towards something far more sinister than anyone in St. Martin's had imagined. The community, which had once felt safe and secure, was now grappling with the possibility of a heinous act having been committed in their midst. The circumstances of Elizabeth's disappearance and the subsequent revelations transformed the case from a simple missing persons search into a shocking criminal investigation. It exposed the darker undercurrents that can exist even in the most seemingly tranquil places. This turn of events served as a stark reminder of the unpredictability of human nature and the fragility of community safety. On October 21, 2009, Alyssa, who was 15 years old at the time, lured 9-year-old Elizabeth into a wooded area under the pretense of showing her something. Once there, Alyssa attacked Elizabeth, ultimately taking her life. The specifics of the attack are disturbing. Alyssa strangled Elizabeth, then stabbed her multiple times and slit her throat. After committing the act, Alyssa buried Elizabeth's body in a pre-dug grave in the woods. This brutal act was premeditated, as evidenced by the grave Alyssa had dug beforehand. The severity and nature of this crime were particularly shocking due to Alyssa's age and the innocence of the young victim. The case brought to light serious concerns about mental health, particularly in adolescence, and the potential for such issues to lead to violent behavior if not properly addressed. Alyssa's actions not only ended a young life, but also left a lasting impact on the community and everyone involved in the case. Alyssa initially came under suspicion due to her proximity to Elizabeth and her behavior following Elizabeth's disappearance. The fact that she lived in the same area and was known to be in the vicinity at the time of Elizabeth's disappearance made her a person of interest. A critical piece of evidence was found in Alyssa's diary. Investigators discovered an entry dated the day of Elizabeth's disappearance, which was initially scribbled out in blue ink. When examined under black light, the obscured entry revealed a chilling confession where Alyssa described the act of killing Elizabeth. During police questioning, Alyssa initially gave a story that did not implicate her directly in the murder. However, when confronted with evidence and pressed by investigators, she eventually confessed to the crime. She provided details of how she lured Elizabeth to a secluded area and then described the violent actions she took. Alyssa led the police to Elizabeth's body, which was buried in a grave in the woods. The location and manner in which the body was hidden indicated premeditation and knowledge of the crime that only the perpetrator would possess. Alyssa's behavior, both in the lead-up to and following the crime, raised suspicions. Her history of mental health issues, her online activity, and her behavior as observed by those around her contributed to the suspicion. Alyssa Bustamante's trial and sentencing were significant due to the nature of the crime and her age at the time. Despite being only 15 years old at the time of the crime, Alyssa was tried as an adult. This decision was based on the severity of the crime and the belief that the juvenile system was not equipped to handle the gravity of her actions. Alyssa eventually entered a plea bargain. In January 2012, she pled guilty to second-degree murder and armed criminal action. This plea meant that she accepted responsibility for the crime without going through a full trial process. For the charge of second-degree murder, Alyssa was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. This was a significant sentence, especially considering her age, but reflected the serious nature of her crime. In addition to the life sentence, she received a consecutive 30-year sentence for armed criminal action. This meant that even if she were to be granted parole for the murder charge, she would still have to serve additional time for the armed criminal action. The combined effect of these sentences was that Alyssa would have to serve at least 35 years before being eligible for parole. The sentence was met with mixed reactions. Some felt that the life sentence was appropriate given the brutal nature of the crime, while others argued that Alyssa's age and mental health issues should have been given more consideration. Elizabeth Olten's family expressed immense grief and were deeply impacted by the loss. They hoped for a sentence that reflected the severity of the crime. In the wake of this tragedy, questions arose about the influence of Alyssa's mental health and medication on her actions. The debate over the role of antidepressants, specifically Prozac, in exacerbating violent tendencies became a focal point. However, experts remain divided on the impact of such medications on young minds. Thank you for taking the time to join us in exploring the deeply impactful story of Alyssa Bustamante and Elizabeth Olten. This narrative goes beyond the surface, delving into the critical and often overlooked issues of mental health and early life experiences. Your participation and insight into this conversation are invaluable. By sharing our perspectives and experiences, we contribute to a broader understanding and a more compassionate world. Together, we can strive to make a difference, fostering an environment where tragedies are prevented and hope is nurtured. If this story has moved you, or if you believe in the importance of raising mental health awareness, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us continue these important conversations and reach more people with messages of understanding, support, and hope. Remember, your thoughts, experiences, and insights are a crucial part of this dialogue. Please share them in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going and work towards a future where every young person's mental health is a priority. Like, subscribe, and share. Together, we can make a difference.